What are the biggest opportunities for the Middle East to take a leadership role in the global clean energy transition at the moment?
I think it's certainly in terms of solar power.
Solar power is the main. Yeah.
And the other two, I think we mentioned district cooling
Yeah.
um, and desalination. If you look at countries, particularly in Africa, by 2050, 1/4 of the world's population is going to be living in Africa, and 1/3 of the labor force is going to be African in Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, that means that massive investments are going to be made into infrastructure and massive energy requirements. It is not easy, and then you have to put together the grids. If you look at, let me call it old energy, you're linked through national grids. Solar power is not grid dependent.
Yeah.
You can have a solar power plant anywhere. Okay, you don't need to be linked to a national grid. So I think from an economic development perspective, for power and everything related to that, batteries and the like, is going to be a major way this part of the world can help, along with district cooling and the desalination.
Yeah.
And remember, desalination is not just seawater. It can be any water which is brackish that needs to be recycled and cleaned and all the rest. The other area, I think, which is critical, is that this part of the world has capital.
Yeah.
And has been providing aid to many countries. So if you look at many of the major companies like Mazda and others, they can help countries in financing their transition towards clean energy and clean technology. So it's a combination of having access to the technology, having the capital, but also having the companies that can make you do it. Okay. The other aspect which is important is that there's obviously, of course, a lot of investment now going into AI, including into data centers. Saudi and the UAE are major investors now and establishing data centers.
Yeah.
And they can help other countries, particularly in Africa and Asia and all the rest, also establish data centers.
Okay.
But let those data centers be green data centers. In other words, data centers, as we know, use a lot of energy. But if you use solar power or any other type of renewable energy for the data centers, then they become green data centers.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win whereby you have electrification, you have data centers, you've got access to AI. It means that for many developing countries in Africa, Asia, but also in the Middle East,
Yeah.
you've let them join the digital economy. This is the final objective at the end of the day. So instead of cities and people being isolated, they get into the digital economy, they're onto the internet, they can provide services online. You can educate them online. You can provide health services through robots, etc., all of that. So that all comes together.
Yeah.
And the GCC countries can help in that because, as I said, they have the capital, they have the technology, they have the know-how, and they have the willingness to.
I was going to say the willingness to prove it.
Yes.
If you could give one piece of advice to policymakers, corporate leaders, and investors looking to drive meaningful change, what would that be?
I think you have to think long term. This is not short term. Let me explain what I mean. A lot of emphasis is going into ESG and ESG reporting, and big companies do that. That's fine. But what you need is outcomes. If you look at portfolios and portfolio managers, their horizon is just 1/4 ahead, and they get rewarded on quarterly results.
Yeah.
What we're talking about in terms of adapting to climate change, making the investments is much more long-term. So you need patient capital that goes beyond just 1/4 or several quarters, but half a decade or decade.
Yeah.
So that means your financial markets have got to adapt. Your sovereign wealth funds and governments have got to adapt. And so you have to have a national plan.
Okay.
That I think is critical. You have to look across sectors, and you have to bring in the private sector. And this is where I think industrial policy becomes important. What is it that you want to achieve? don't look at, for example, net zero, right? So everybody is promised net zero by 20, but we're not going to be around in 2050, right? Many of those people who are signing off those declarations are not going to be around to be held accountable. So what you need to do is, what are your investments in technology? How are you going to make that happen? Look at outcomes, what you're pronouncing as being policies or commitments.
Yeah.
So that's what the Chinese have been very successful at. So have a clear set of objectives, hold people accountable for that, not their pronouncements and their reports.